Alright everybody, welcome over to the Wrestling Corner here. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different for you. I'm going to give out a fantasy match. I'd like to see what you guys think about it, what you would like to see. Give us your thoughts, your suggestions, just let us know. So, here's what I want to do. Everybody always has their fantasy matches, you know. For years, mine was Bret Hart versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania. I figured if anyone could end the streak, it would be Bret Hart. Some disagree. I still to this day say that Bret in his prime could beat anybody. I don't care who it was. Bret Hart versus Kurt Angle would have been a great match. In fact, a three-way, Bret Hart, Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit. Let's do it, you know. I think that would have been a great match. But we have something a little bit different for you today. I got a fantasy match for you. And I want to see how these two guys measure up. On the one side, we're going to pit WWE's resident show-off, Dolph Ziggler. Everybody knows Dolph Ziggler. You know, the man has a great athletic talent. I think he's highly underrated. I didn't have a great appreciation for him till the night I witnessed him doing a freaking zigzag to a guy. And the way he did it was just so awesome. I literally jumped off of my couch and said, "Holy shit, did you just see that?" And I rewound it. I called my brother Matthew. And I was like, "Matt, are you watching WWE? Did you just see that?" And he's like, "Yes, I just saw that." And I was like, "Wasn't that the most awesome damn thing you've ever seen?" It was great. And for whatever reason, my mind eludes me and I can't think of what pay-per-view it was at. So, hey, you know, go figure on that. But anyway, we're going to take the show off who recently has been a mid-card jobber, more or less. He's won a few matches, but he hasn't been doing as great as he normally would. Part of that reason is because he doesn't know when to keep his mouth shut. Much like myself, he says what he thinks, when he thinks it, and how he thinks it, and he doesn't really give a damn if anybody likes it or not. And he finding out, much like I have in my life, that sometimes it's better to keep your mouth shut and just to go with it. So, we have Dolph Ziggler. Let me name a few of Dolph Ziggler's accomplishments here, and I'm not just talking about WWE in general, but we're gonna go mid card all the way up here. Let's do some accomplishments and championships for Dolph Ziggler. Okay, first off, PWI, which is Pro Wrestling Illustrated, they ranked him number 9 out of the top 500 singles wrestlers in their PWI 500 issue in 2013. That's saying something. Out of every organization that they do, PWI does everything. Ring of Honor, New Japan Pro Wrestling, old NWA stuff, WWE, TNA. They do it all. He ranked number 9. That tells you what they think of the guy. It tells you the guy's got some major talent, and he does. So they ranked him real high. But let's get to some championships here. FCW, Florida Championship Wrestling. He was a Florida Tag Team Championship holder, you know, with the titles, 2 different times. Once with Brad Allen and then with Gavin Spears. Now, you know, both of those guys are talented as well. They didn't make it as far as we'd like to see them go, you know, not all the time, but Dolph Ziggler did great with both of them, but then he stepped up from FCW. He got brought up to the main roster in WWE. Now, he's won the World Heavyweight Championship 2 times. He's won the World Tag Team Championships 1 time, and that was when he was with the Spirit Squad, you know. Remember all of those guys? Kenny, you know, Tommy, faggot, whatever you want to call them, you know. And yes, I just said faggot, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I mean, it just... the entire shtick was absolutely gay. This is at a time when Vince McMahon should not have been doing any kind of creative ideas whatsoever. But anyway, he's part of the World Tag Team Champions with the Spirit Squad. Then he went on, he won the WWE Intercontinental Championship 1 time. He won the WWE United States Championship 1 time. And at Money in the Bank 2012, he won the World Heavyweight title contract. Now, something else he's done, and this probably won't be mentioned, you know, they make such a big deal out of the whole Triple Crown thing, you know, winning the Triple Crown in wrestling, you know, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, all these different guys. He was a Triple Crown winner. Most people may not remember that, but he was. He was a 20-second holder of the Triple Crown there. He had it for a whole 20 seconds in a match where, you know, God only knows how many people got pinned in that match. So, you know, these are some accomplishments for Dolph Ziggler. Obviously, he's a great in-ring talent, so we have that. Now, let's go to the other side. I'm going to let you know who his opponent is right now. He's a guy that I like, you know. On Dolph Ziggler's side, we have the show-off, Dolph Ziggler. So what do we have on the other side? We have Mr. Showtime, Eric Young. And I know some people are going, what? You just put a TNA guy in the ring with a WWE guy? Come on. No. I really did just do that. Eric Young and that damn good. Let me tell you something. Eric Young was with the Allied Powers Wrestling Federation. He was an APWF Cruiserweight champion one time. Then he went over to Family Wrestling Entertainment. And he was a FWE heavyweight champion once in Memphis Wrestling, which is a great wrestling place. If you've not ever been there, they are absolutely excellent. You can thank them for guys like Jerry the King Lawler, some other guys, Andy Kaufman, and whatnot, even though he wasn't, really a wrestler. I mean, he had his little stint there making fun of people and doing stuff. So Memphis Wrestling, great. But in Memphis, he was part of the Memphis Southern Tag Team Champions with Johnny Devine. He had that title one time. And then in PWI, when they did their issue in 2010, ranking their singles wrestlers, they ranked him number 49 out of 500 wrestlers, and that's not too bad for a guy in 2010 who was still going through some changes, wasn't sure really what his character was going to be. They didn't know if he was going to be bald and, clean shaven or have long hair and a beard and everything else, typical TNA type stuff. But then we get to total nonstop action since we're going to talk TNA here. Now, X Division Championship, he's held it once. The TNA Legend Global Television Championship, he's held it 2 times. For those of you that don't know, that's a title that you don't ever really see anymore. The TNA World Beer Drinking Championship, yes, they made it a drinking championship. He outdrank James Storm. He held that title 1 time. Then he had the NWA World Tag Team Championship. He held it twice, both times with Bobby Roode, who is now one of the top guys in TNA, and I got to say, I love Bobby Roode. Then he had the TNA World Tag Team Championship twice. Once with Kaz, and then the other time was with Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, where they kind of interchanged it a little bit, and you never knew who in the hell his tag team partner was going to be, but that was it. Then he got the TNA Knockouts Tag Team Championship one time with ODB. Yes, he really did. For those of you that remember that, his whole wife thing going on, okay? He got the Turkey Bowl Championship both 2011 and 2012. He was the Turkey Bowl winner, which is really kind of like the Turkey Bowl loser, but same thing, whatever. And in 2006, Eric Young was actually voted outside of wrestling by different organizations that watch and do things and see how people do. We talk about John Cena being a great guy with Make-A-Wish Foundation and different things like that. Well, Eric Young was actually voted the most inspirational public figure out there. That was in 2006. He was voted most inspirational for people to look up to. And the guy's had a, somewhat rough life and everything there. Now, outside of that, he's had the ACW Heavyweight Championship once. He's had the FSPW Independent Championship twice. He's had the IWF Heavyweight Championship once, the NSP Independent Championship once, and the XWC World Heavyweight Championship once, okay? Now, the guy's been through a lot. This guy is someone who, when it comes to the independent circle, and the circuit and working it and everything, everyone should know who he is. He's Eric Young. They call him Showtime for a reason. Now, Showtime is his way of paying homage to the man that he looked up to growing up, and that was Sting. Sting was his favorite wrestler, and Sting used to always yell at Showtime, and so now Eric Young does it, and that's just one of the things there. So let's get this on here. We're going to have a fantasy match here. Dolph Ziggler, Eric Young. This is something that I would love to see. Now, if we're going to do this match, I think this is a match that if you were to throw it into a computer and tell it to simulate it 2,500 times, and find out who would win, you'd have to do all kinds of different things. First, we'd have to throw it in a regular match here. Who wins based on pure talent alone. And I mean, just nothing else, just pure wrestling talent. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm taking Eric Young. I think Eric Young could out-wrestle Dolph Ziggler on his worst day. And that's just my own personal opinion. Now, if we threw it into a anything goes match, let's give it a hardcore sense. Now, Eric Young is a hardcore guy. I think that he could beat Ziggler in that match as well, but I also know that Ziggler can dig down deep and that he could pull some stuff out of his ass that people have never seen him do before. I think that that's one of those matches where if we simulated it 100 times, you'd probably end up with something like Eric Young 60, Ziggler 40, or, Ziggler 60, Eric Young 40, just depending on the circumstances. I think that would be a great match. Now, if we go into the whole submission match category, this is going to be one where, surprisingly, I'm going to say Dolph Ziggler, I think, would have the edge here. Eric Young is not really a submission guy. He does use them every once in a while. He can use them. He's great at it. But I don't think in the long run that he would beat Dolph Ziggler in a submission match. That's just one of those things. Now, if we're doing something else, Money in the Bank, something like that. Dolph Ziggler obviously has the advantage. He's been in quite a few Money in the Banks there. He's been in quite a few matches in general. Now, Eric Young, that's not to say that he's not ever climbed a ladder and grabbed a briefcase, because he has in his career more than once. But, I think Dolph Ziggler would have the edge there. Now, if we threw him in a TNA ring, let's give him a nice, six-sided ring instead of four sides, and see what they come up with here. We throw him in an X Division match. I tell you what, oh man, I don't even know how to explain it. I would love to see Dolph Ziggler. I'm just going to put this out there. Dolph Ziggler, Eric Young, Brian Kendrick, Zima Ion, Jimmy Wang Yang, and yes, I just said that, Jimmy Wang Yang, Kofi Kingston. Man, you throw those guys in an X Division match, can you imagine how awesome that would be? Can you imagine the things that would happen? What about if we threw Hunico inside there as Sin Cara and seen what he could do? That would be a great match. I mean, you're talking about the cruiserweight of cruiserweights here. I mean, hell, even Rey Mysterio could risk getting his leg injured for the 1900th time in a match like this. It would be a great match. That's one of those things that I kind of wish WWE would catch on and say, hey, you know what, let's do something similar to that, because that's kind of nice, I think that would be a great match. But this is just my fantasy match for today here. I would definitely love to hear your guys' opinions. I'd love to hear what you think, how different matches would end, who would do it. Ultimately, if I was picking a winner on this, and if I was betting money and betting my house or something, I'm going to be quite honest with you, I'm going to go with Showtime Eric Young. He's had more championships. He's been around longer. He knows the business better. He knows to keep his mouth shut, which would definitely get him booked in favor, most of the time. So I would definitely have to go with Eric Young for the most part. But that's going to be my fantasy match for today, and I hope you guys have enjoyed. You guys have a great day, and as always, man, spread the word. WrestlingCorner.net. We're here. We're here to stay. We're not going anywhere. We're going to give you insightful articles. We're going to give you our opinions. We're going to listen to your opinions. Unlike other websites, you're not going to catch us telling you that you're stupid because you have an idea and somebody else doesn't like it. We don't care. If you want to see The Undertaker in a freaking, bra and panties match, like we did Gerald Briscoe and Pat Patterson years ago. Anybody remember that in 1999? Hey, we're not going to tell you it's a bad idea. We'd love to hear opinions, so go ahead and give them to us. Go ahead and shoot them over. You guys have a great night. It's been fun.